That heifer right there just don't even care.
Grayson, you're something else.
What do you say, folks? Appreciate everybody joining us this evening.
It's cold even.
Yes, very much. It's cold for us. Everybody, y'all know. Jasper. Some of y'all just now getting ice melted off your house or everything there. No, it finally quit all the melting of the ice about 2 days after it sleeted and froze up. It took it a couple of days, but it finally got on out of here for us. So it's just been cold for down here in the 20s.
Yeah.
That wind chill in the teens they talking about. No, sir. So y'all come get your cold weather, please.
Yeah.
While folks are rolling in here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, sure, they loading on 25. We appreciate y'all. Holler at folks real quick and shout out. Oh, let's see, old Vincent, what did he come in here and just nailed first tonight? He said, I'm gonna beat DC, Phil, Darren, anybody else.
Everybody.
Let's see, DC, Russell Amon, James Knoll, Ed, son of one, Tracy, Michael Tangway, Ron Alley. Appreciate you, brother. That's a new name in here, but we appreciate you coming in. Minnesota Mike, we got you, brother. She is revising the prayer request as I sit here and yak.
Yeah. But I do have the name you asked to add mine.
Let's see who else here. Miss Danae.
Hi, Danae.
Keith there, half tracks. I think I done about got most everybody here.
Did I say Sarah in there?
Yep, Sarah. Sarah's Happy Hive. David Hoskins. Appreciate it. Lee.
I'm glad to see him in here. We need an update on his little baby granddaughter. Holy one.
James Noel.
James Noel's brother-in-law.
Okay, we got you there, brother. Yeah, Lee, I think I'm gonna let you and Vincent handle that one there.
Settle who gets first.
That's it. Y'all can flip a coin or rock, paper, scissors on that one. But it was we did have good conversation a while ago talking to Lee, and it's giving me something to yak about a minute while she's doing that. But we was coming home from the preacher's house. The preacher and his wife invited us to some Sunday dinner after church. We went over there and had some good fellowship, sat with them, talked for a while. And, we was headed on home, and Hannah had been asking me, old Jags, J3GS from Miss T's.
Miss T with the T.
Miss T with the T. All right. All of them been gracious enough to come over and sub with us and hang out, but Lee and Jags was talking on one of the live streams not long ago with the honey and garlic. And Hannah been on me for a couple of days. So called Lee and asked him about how he makes that honey and garlic.
Please call Lee.
So finally, dialed the number up and called him on the way. Well, we were walking in the door, and Hannah had said before we left, I hope I don't regret saying this, but we're going to leave Jasper out and see how he does. with Stella. Well, turn the key to open up the door to the house. Hannah steps in, and she does this when he's good and when he's bad. But she took a deep breath and gasped, and I was thinking, well, he done good. All right, let's carry on. That joker got one of her pillows, and he had stuff stretched from one end of here to the other. And Buddy,
everywhere.
he knew he was in trouble.
Everywhere. Yeah, he went straight to the pen he usually gets put in when we leave.
It was good talking with you, Lee. We enjoyed the conversation. Stone River, appreciate y'all coming in, brother. Southeastern Colorado have Mr. JW.
Mr. JW is in here.
Yep, folks trickling on in. Carl and his two big brats.
Hi, Haley. If they're here.
Yeah, so he's in the comments. I imagine she ain't too far from him.
Well, tell her I said hey if she's not watching.
Let's see here, Carl. Let me read that message. Y'all bear with me. But okay, he said yes, she's around. It's time. They're getting their bath right now.
Gotcha.
But ain't too much beekeeping, about like everybody else. We just sitting idle. Got a video coming out on our jackets and stuff. I don't want to give it all away right now, but it hit me not too long ago, and I don't know if people has used this very much, but we're gonna put it out there, and it will 100% help your jacket if you're having issues with it. But I got to thinking about some old stuff, how Mama used to take care of our old hand-me-downs whenever we was young, and I told Hannah, I said, we're going to stop at the auto parts store and pick up a little tube of this here stuff. And, well, that's about the extent of what we're doing right now. Get everything pretty well set up, ready to go, put out, get our jackets ready.
So Jasper's just getting rid of one pillow, so Tim will buy me two more.
Well, the last time he was left out, he done good. Like we told Lee, he done good for a little while. He didn't do anything. We come in, the house is just as she left it, without my little mess over there in the corner. But the last couple times, he's gotten into something. And the first time was my pawpaw slippers that keep my feet warm on these cold floors during this time of year.
Everybody heard you cry about the slippers.
All right.
Hey, Lisa.
That still affects me. Then we come home and run into that there.
There's people popping in constantly. I can't type and write at the same time, so I'm trying to say hey to people.
Time, let's see, it's been 9 days and having a day and above 32 degrees.
Oh, it ain't been that long, but it's been just about that cold here.
Mr. Larry Softer, appreciate you. Good evening to you too. Yeah, I thought we was showing up with a high at 40 degrees.
I gotta make up a coffee.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you, brother.
It's sitting right here. As soon as I finish rewriting this prayer list, I'm gonna be in it too.
Thank you for that, brother. Without too much further ado, we got a good little guest tonight.
We're excited.
We are excited. There's a good chance this little fella, whenever he if he sticks with it, he could probably be one of those next Bob Binnies or old Ian kind of thing in the beekeeping world. He he's picking up on stuff, and he's actually taught me a couple of different little old things. Mm-hmm. But we're gonna have Grayson here from Wildwoods Honeybee Farm. He's gonna come in and tell a story how he got started in beekeeping and what his plans are in the beekeeping world. Then, maybe kind of what his future plans are. Is this something he wants to take and carry on the rest of his life and make a business out of, or just kind of be a backyard beekeeper, if you will? But out of the way, the young man has got some knowledge in his head for his age in beekeeping. And I think he's doing an outstanding job on being a leader for the future generation.
Absolutely.
And he could be very much a good mentor to many of the youngins coming in that may have interest on it.
Larry Salford, so he's up in Meridian. That's not far from us.
No, you ain't too far from Meridian. We're about 2.5 hours from you, something like that. And I noticed, who was it? Ron, back up here a little bit. Was it Ron Alley, I believe the gentleman's name was, but he saying from northeastern or northwestern Alabama.
Oh, okay.
So whereabouts in Alabama? Don't give us, just tell us.
Roughly.
Pretty close town. Huntsville, Birmingham, Gunnersville. Mr. Mike Conley, he's up that way toward Lake. He's on Lake Gunnersville. During, I think he's got a little little camp up there on the lake.
Oh, are we going to get that one? Lee said he's going to be at 76 in a couple days. Danae's mad because they're still going to be freezing in a couple days.
Yeah, we're gonna get pretty close to it.
I knew we were going to be at 70. I didn't know we were going to get that one.
Tomorrow's gonna be 60. Well, I hope I'm reading your comment there, Larry. Laura willing, hopefully.
20 miles from Huntsville.
Okay.
Well, hey, Blaine.
Where's that Texican coming in here? Some of us is gonna have some dead outs come out of this weather here on them weaker colonies, but like we was talking to a gentleman a while ago, try not to let it get too discouraging. Now I feel your pain, brother, in your video. Because like I said, whenever we got down dealing with them blasted beetles before we started getting on that extract and stuff, well, we've been through it before. I told Hannah, I said, I'm literally fixing to just put a match to all of it, with just being discouraged and all of it. But
don't you go near my beehives in the night.
she wouldn't
You
have it.
lost your mind.
No. But
Mm-mm.
we're going to pray things keep going good for you, and we believe they will.
Oh, there's people piling in. There's Joey and hey, Ian. And there's Pastor Larry, Miss Jan, and Miss Leona.
Hey, Miss Leona. Pastor Larry, Miss Jan, too.
In here. I hadn't seen him in a little while. Dennis Barney.
Yeah, I did, Dennis. Yeah, it's been a little while.
Oh, Sarah said it's been single digits up there. But it's going into the 40s. That's going to feel like a heat wave.
Oh, Ian, brother, hopefully they'll get your truck to you for too long. Watched your little piece a while ago.
How far are we from Andalusia? Just over an hour.
Yeah, we're a couple hours from Andalusia.
We're a couple hours from just about anywhere.
Pretty much. We was telling Lee that.
Canada.
Talking to Lee, we was like, well, we're about 2.5 hours. And
Yeah.
come find out it's about that or 3. It'd be 3 the way I drive. But
Yeah, Lisa, I'm right there with you. I'm done with this soaking wet, freezing cold. I'm ready for spring.
well, then you watch old Ian walk outside with a cup of coffee like it's, no big deal
See,
up there.
I don't know how you do it.
Mm-mm.
I don't know how you do it.
Now, it's pretty to watch from here. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, no, sir, y'all can have that. And think of that, too. If y'all ain't seen Ricky's video, he done horizontal bees.
Oh my gosh, y'all.
That was a good
awesome
video, Ricky.
video.
Enjoyed that one.
Really awesome.
But without further ado, you want to do your prayer list and we get our guest in here?
You want to make your children behave?
Y'all quit.
Yeah. Okay. I hadn't seen him in here, but and I know we hadn't said this name in a while, but we need a reminder. So, but Keith Larimore, I know he was having some issues again last time we talked to him, and he really needed some prayers. But let's see, Mr. Mark Miller, we got Hillbilly Earl on here, Ed and his wife, Miss Chris, the Dirt Rooster's dad, Mr. Pat, Miss Deb, the son Bunny, Bob Walker's friend, Jason Cooper, and then Grammy Lisa. We got her son and 2 of her granddaughters on here. Bob Walker and his family. Then Tom, Mac Apiary Bees. Our friend Mr. Donnie. Michael Tangway's wife, Miss Cindy. Miss Carla Green. The Gandys. We got Mr. Larry, Miss Sherry, and Mr. Larry's mom. DC's parents, but especially his mama. The K. Wilmot family. That's James Knowles' sister. And then Lee's sister, Nikki King. David Hoskins' little baby granddaughter, Emma. Honeystone Farm, Flip's daughter, Samantha. Baby Luca, Mr. Dan Weaver put on here. Canada Brad. The Brown and Daughters Beekeepers in Israel. Pam's Garden added her friend Mindy. And then Deanna Wheeler is Philip's mentee's best friend. And then Philip added his Aunt Linda and his cousin Lorinda. And Sarah, from Sarah's Happy Hives, added her daughter Crystal on here. The Jennifer Brown family, Brenda Amon, that's Russell Amon's wife. And then Sarah's husband's cousin, she added him. And then Jeremy and Valerie from Queen Bee's Honey, their newest little baby, Isaiah. Bobby's Bee, we added his family on here last week. And then Minnesota Mike, and all the medical trouble he's been having. And then he added his, I think he said his 80-year-old sawmill friend, Mr. Vincent. So I think he said it. They were thinking he might have had a stroke. And then James Knoll added his brother-in-law. See,
see David's comment there. You kind of run back to it. It'll be easier to run it off.
They're thinking she'll come home in a few weeks. That's awesome. That's great news, David. Let's see.
Grammy.
Well, at least that's a blessing. She's not having seizures, Lisa. But we're absolutely still praying for that baby. I know some of that medicine can be horrible, but Lord willing, they can get her on a dosage that works for her and maybe get her feeling better. But we will surely keep praying.
Jig was just talking about you a minute ago, brother. We was talking to Lee from Kodiak Farms, and whenever y'all was jawing back and forth not long ago about the garlic and honey mixture, we was getting with old Lee to get that recipe. Hannah is making. Let me get that tincture real quick.
Okay, Steve. Amos, I missed you coming in. That Ian takes some of the hot coals and puts them in his pocket when he walks out
Yeah.
the door. That's how you do it.
Where was I going with that? Oh, on the garlic and honey.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get that, seeing how y'all was mixing that up and how long to let it sit and all that. But try that as a sore throat remedy. And
Mm-hmm.
let's see, let me say this with a disclaimer, a cure-all, if you will. But yeah, we trying to get into some of them different old home remedies,
Mm-hmm.
keep around here at the house. But her tincture, let's see if I can
It's
get it up
getting
there.
close, I think.
Yeah.
It's almost all broke down in there.
Yeah, it's done about got, I'm going to say 3/4 of it there. It's done got.
That sandy look.
Yeah.
I mean, Sarah said it would look like sand when it's ready.
Yeah.
I'm hoping within the next week it'll be ready to start using.
We're gonna try them out and have them sitting here in the medicine cabinet and see how it goes. But with all that being said, well, we got 58 in the house.
Oh my
Appreciate
gosh.
y'all. And y'all fill the chat up with questions for Grayson. Anything y'all want to ask the young man, y'all support this young man by any means you can, especially here in the chat. But without further ado, y'all welcome Grayson from Wildwoods Honeybee Farm. If I can get the button pushed.
Hey, how y'all doing?
What do you say, Grayson?
Doing good. Just been busy a little bit, just getting everything's ready and things. Nothing much really going on with bees. Nothing really video type being able to do, but just kind of hanging in and doing a couple of things here and there, and all's good. We're just trying to get through this little cold spell that we've had last week. And then we'll be getting into the warmer temperatures. We'll be getting into 70-degree temperatures, but the bad side about that, as y'all mentioned earlier, is rain all next week. So, maybe it'll be all right.
Tim told me it was going to warm up, and my first thought was, oh, we can get in the bees. And then it was like, but it's going to rain every day. I was like, oh, we can't get in the bees.
That's what I thought whenever I saw the warm temperatures, like 75 degrees, I was just thinking like, wow, that's warm, thinking about, just a week ago, from that day, it was like, 17 degrees. But then I saw there was rain, so then, I guess I ain't gonna be doing anything that day.
No.
Just about a 40 to 50 degree difference in 2 to 3 days.
Literally.
Just up and down. But that's our typical weather pattern for the most part. But like you say, it won't be long, bud, because you're right here with us. Next couple, I say probably about 4 weeks, it's going to be time for us to sink a spur.
That's right. Probably about 4 weeks, around that time we'll probably be seeing some flowers sprout and some of those things. And really, our weather down here, and I know y'all are probably the same, is really unpredictable to be able to predict.
Yeah,
Yes.
And
every day.
that's one of the problems that sometimes I'll have whenever we're doing things, trying to be able to do splits. One day it feels warm, it's very warm, we're gonna go out there and do something, and then I look on the forecast, and then it's supposed to be, cold around, maybe 32 degrees or something the next day, and I'm like, never mind, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have those problems, but we overcome it and we get it to a point where we get it actually into the spring. We're able to do things. So I'm ready for the spring. Tired of all this cold weather, but we'll get there. And then once we get there, I'll be able to do other things. And I'm sure all other beekeepers are ready too.
Oh yeah.
Buddy.
And then we'll all be wishing for a break 2 weeks into it.
Yeah.
Because everything will be wide open again.
That's true. Definitely.
But we was mentioning a minute ago being at the preacher's house, and their land backs up to an old dairy farm. There's several hundred acres back behind them. It's real pretty back there. But I was looking out in his yard whenever we was coming home, and those little, I'm pretty sure that those little purple nettles, 1890 little old
Yeah.
purple nettles.
Yeah.
Now those little rascals are starting to pop up all out in his yard.
That's right.
So hoping they can get them a little pollen or whatever they pull off them things to kind of start getting the ball rolling for season.
Ed said, I think us and that we in Alabama may be ready in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, we sure ain't too far.
We're not too far along. We'll probably start to see some warmer weather here soon. Last year, I'm hoping it's going to be a better transition into spring than it was last year. We had some warm weather earlier. I'm sure y'all did too. And then automatically went cold, and then everything that just kind of died out. And after that, it just wasn't really anything a good flow. I was planning on being able last year to be able to get some honey and stuff, but it just really didn't work out because of that. That's why this year I'm hoping the flow will be a little bit better this year for the bees, so they'll have something to eat. And going on into summer, when we get into the drought, that's one of the worst times that we're in, when we get into the drought.
Mm-hmm. His red maples are getting ready to bloom.
I
haven't really paid ours much attention yet.
I was just thinking that. I hadn't even looked.
Yeah.
But you kind of close to Ed over there.
Yeah, we are.
You're
He's in Dauphin. He's kind of near Bruce. He's near Bruce, and he's probably Dauphin is probably an hour away or something. So there's probably a little bit of a different change. He's probably a little bit more south, but maybe there's probably just like maybe a degree change, but not really anything different. We still have pretty similar temperatures.
Oh yeah. Y'all be about the same right there.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of hold that same temperature pattern with that warm air coming off that Gulf and everything.
That's right.
And like this week, it's bringing all that. It's going to be pulling that moisture in, and which we do need the rain. Like you had just mentioned a second ago, we was in a drought last year, and we could sure use the typical rain that we get.
Here we go. We definitely I've been seeing a lot of rain, especially in January and December and stuff. And especially when you get into drought, getting into summer, it's really bad whenever it's in August and late July, somewhere around there. It's whenever it hits hard down here. We'll have worse beetle problems, because sometimes that will happen, and no water everywhere or anything, and then things to start kind of get hot. Nothing really to do that time. You could do splits, but they may get robbed out. So really, when we get into DERF, there isn't really much to do except to keep inspecting and do some of those things. But, sometimes I've done DERF splits and whatnot, but I usually wait till I usually do splits earlier in spring. Sometimes I may do them in June. I've done them before in June and stuff like that. But we're getting ready for spring, trying to think a little bit of ahead, getting ready for spring. And I know a lot of beekeepers are ready for spring because all this cold has just been here for a while. But whenever you guys are talking about Ian, whenever he's up there, drinking
Yeah.
a mug of coffee or whatever, I watch Ian sometimes a lot, and I couldn't survive the weather he's at. So
Mm-mm.
I think that's why he's always got a fire in that fireplace up there.
oh, definitely,
And his dogs know where to be though. They ain't never far from that fireplace.
yeah, definitely.
What you?
I'm just trying to keep up with the chat. It seemed like everybody just had a rough year last year.
I think a lot of beekeepers did. I know I did. We weren't able to get anything really, typical, spring. Usually, we get a good flow in. Maybe be able to extract some. I was planning on doing some extraction last year, but just the DERF, didn't allow me to, and just went by the season went pretty quick. So just didn't get the chance to, and we had that bad cold snap early on in the season. I remember whenever it got kind of chilly, and after that, it just didn't really have a good year. It was kind of a rough year. I think a lot of other beekeepers had the same too.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy said, "I'm almost out of honey."
Well, the only honey we pulled last year was we was able to save a 10 frame deep before beetles had gotten up into it. They were
Uh,
starting to get down into the bottom, and they
The
done.
bees were gone.
Yeah, they absconded on us. That's whenever I thought there was a swarm on the back, but
um,
come to find out, it was the bees absconding out of there.
now
Um,
I've come across some of those situations before. Earlier, like I think it was like in June, or maybe I think it was in late June, going into early July. I had a hive that I saw, and I had a very bad beetle problem, just a very bad. It was that time when we're starting to get into the DERF, and we had a bad beetle problem, and I tried to kind of do some different particular things with the hive, trying to get the beetles out, but then went back maybe 30 minutes later to see how they were doing, and they all absconded. So I don't know where that hive went. They went somewhere else, several than that hive, but they had a very bad beetle problem. And that's one thing that next year is coming up, spring going into the summer. Then once we get into DERF, I want to do a little bit better at trying to control them a little bit better, because last year just all of my hives had beetles in it, and it was just uncontrollable. And hives absconding all the time. And but we kind of, once we got more into of the fall, we were able to get it a little bit more controlled. But we're still rolling, getting ready for spring, and hoping to have some success next year, and do what we need to do and get ready. I'm always thinking ahead for spring. I know a lot of other beekeepers are too, but that's just kind of what we're doing. There really isn't anything bee related things going on here right now. We're just typically just kind of rolling along, and once spring comes in, that's whenever things get started.
Well, but don't you like to use the winter season? It seems like wasn't it you that put out a video on the different books you read
I
in
did.
the
I think I did it.
winter?
I did. I remember I put a video. I think that was about a year ago.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
been a little while. We were wondering if you had read anything good this year that you recommend.
Yeah,
You know,
I've read a lot of books. Throughout keeping bees and whatnot, and I think that's one of the best ways to be able to get a little bit more information from. And of course, now you have like all these online things and good live streams. I really like to
mhm.
um, participate in some of these different live chats, such as y'all's. And I watch y'all every Sunday night. It's a really good place to be and learn different things from. And
Appreciate that.
I watch every live chat that I can to learn things from,
Mhm.
and that's where a lot of my information does come from. But a lot of it, I do read a lot of books and stuff. I think that's a good way to, learn different things, and I like to do that too. I think one of the best books that I've read, I don't really have it on hand right now, and I don't really want to get out of the studio because I'm kind of set up in a tight spot. But anyway,
Good.
Beekeeper's Bible. And a lot of beekeepers will know it. A lot of beekeepers will recognize it, and to me, it's a really good book. It's a big book, and it's probably takes a long time to read it, but I like to just flip through it sometimes and go to particular spots and study up on things, whether it be American foul brood or mites and stuff, different things,
Mhm.
feeding, getting your bees ready for winter, being able to do some of those things. And they also do have some ancestry things in there. If you're into some of the different things like that, it's really good to, pick up one of those Beekeeper's Bible and read it. And if you have the time and be set to do it, you can read the whole thing. I think it's like about this big of a book or something. It's like very thick,
Mhm.
and it's hard to be able to do it, within a couple days. But I know probably some beekeepers can do it. But what I typically do is just scroll through it and go to
Mhm.
the specific parts of the book and read it. And
Mhm.
especially like genetics, I really like going to genetics and stuff and learn about those things and a lot of those other things. But
I got you. Well, look, man, there's questions for you stacking up in the comments.
yeah,
Ian wanting to know, are you part of a bee club in your area?
I've had those questions before, and I I've been wanting to get into some clubs. We actually looked at on one, and probably I forgot exactly where it was. I can't really go back to what it was, but it was near our location. It's probably maybe an hour away. But right whenever we were going to sign up for it and go to it and participate in it, it was all out. Couldn't no more. They were booked full. And, I think clubs and things, those are one of the biggest ways to, learn different things. I know they recently had one, the North American Honeybee Expo, and, I heard a lot of good things about it. And I wasn't able to make it up there this year. I know a lot of other beekeepers weren't able to make it up there, but those, conferences, big ones, or whether it be small ones, like uh, in your area, Alabama associations. I know they have a lot of different ones. I have to look into. We may look into one this year to go to and participate. Good way to support other beekeepers in the area, and that's just a good place. When we were talking about learning different things and going back to books and stuff, that's another good way to learn things. If you're a beekeeper and you want to learn new things, I think that's a really good way to do it and participate in clubs and show your support and some of those other things. But we haven't yet, but I plan on doing it here soon. Get signed up on one and participate in some of um, local um, these local clubs and things. I think that would be a good way to meet other people. I like to meet people, and I know a lot of other beekeepers do, and it's I can there's a lot of beekeepers I recognize in y'all's chat here. But sometimes it's good to meet them in face, and sometimes I won't recognize their face, but I'll ask them their YouTube channel, then I'll be able to say, "Oh, I remember who you are."
Mhm.
Yeah,
Now, who was it here?
Ron Allen. Was that?
Okay. Mr. Ron Alley, any comments on using peppermint patties to control hive beetles?
I've heard a lot of good things about you know using peppermint. I haven't had I've used it some. There's one particular time I took some little bars, peppermint bars, and put them out there. And one of the best ways, if you're gonna, feed with pollen patties, as Ron said, and I know a lot of beekeepers like to use pollen patties. I used to use pollen patties, but I don't really use them anymore. I make up my own candy, and I find a little bit better results out of that. Sometimes pollen patties can, of course, attract small hive beetles, down here, and we still have a bad beetle problem here in South Alabama. Even though it's winter, I know Bruce has a terrible problem. We have a very bad problem too here. So, we were trying to solve that too. I have one particular hive that for some reason it's always beetle bound. It always has beetles.
Mhm.
But anyway, whenever you can always mix if you're going to decide to use pollen patties, you can always, if you want to prevent beetles, you can always, put peppermint into patties.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have it on me right now. On my last chat, I was talking a little bit about Earl's stuff, and if you guys don't know who Earl is, Hillbilly Beekeeping, he's really more professional at the whole peppermint thing, but this is just everything about I, know about it.
Mm-hmm.
And peppermint's a good way to get rid of the beetles because they don't like the smell of the peppermint, and it kind of discards them away, kind of pushes them away out of the house because they don't like the scent of it. And I don't think Earl's in here, but he's a good expert on that. And recently, last year at the Hive Life conference, he gave me a his recipe and some different things to make a homemade treatment for peppermint. So we're gonna try to do that out and do a video on that. So anybody
I look forward to that.
And we crushed a cup full of peppermint candy. I think it was about 30 or 35 peppermint candies.
That's
And we crushed them things up to just little bits. And we mixed in a homemade pollen patty last year. And whenever we fed the peppermint mixed in with the pollen patty, now we wasn't putting big old pieces on there.
No.
We was putting, I don't know, an inch or two wide, about 3 or 4 inches long, just enough where they could keep up with it. And we didn't really have any issues with the beetles getting in the pollen patty like that. Well, matter of fact, we didn't find any larva beetle around them.
Mm-mm.
But once we moved over to using the peppermint extract, and we kind of added our own little touch to it with that eucalyptus oil, our beetle problem has pretty well been almost non-existent. I'm not going to say there ain't 1 or 2 in there, but it's not the several hundred really at times. There's a bunch of beetles in there and before, but that extract and that eucalyptus oil has really been a huge help to us on keeping the beetles out.
Definitely,
But
can help out. That's one of the biggest problems down south. I think everybody faces, trying to get rid of the beetles and good beetle management. And peppermint's in my opinion, a very good method to do that. I've used a whole bunch of other things, such as high beetle traps and some of those things. They work good too if you're looking to try to solve small high beetles and get rid of them. But one of the best ways I think is probably putting in some peppermint and and use a lot of different things. And I know some people probably like to use chemicals for beetles, but I don't really go with chemical routes to try to get rid of beetles. I just go with, sometimes I've used peppermint before, and I'll go with some beetle traps, put some oil in it, vegetable.
Some of the oil traps too.
That's right. I use some of those. They work pretty good. And you put them on top, and the beetles sometimes will get trapped inside them, and get caught up in the oil, and that oil will kill them. And that's a good way to do it. And I like to use them. I've had some really good success with them. But I think it's also you can't just use those, because even you could probably kill a lot of beetles that way. But if you have like a very overloaded count of beetles, like Bruce does in Alabama, you probably want to try to use something different, whether it be peppermint or whatever different thing. I know Bruce used I see Russell stating it down there, Beetle Blaster 5000, and I saw that video. I think that's a new invention the bug farmer made or something.
Well, I wouldn't go get into too much of that, but we can touch on it a little bit. That's a great idea, but I hope he's not borrowing our idea to profit off of that. If I'm wrong, I will take that back 100%. But I just hope somebody isn't taking somebody else's idea and trying to gain a profit off of that. But
I said the absolute best way to not have beetles is to move up more. I'm sorry. I'll deal with the beetles over the snow.
Ooh, yeah.
We found a way to combat the beetles.
Try. I don't
Yeah,
know what's up north.
that's really seems to be working using the peppermint period. Whether you use the candies, we've seen good results with it,
Mm-hmm.
knocking the numbers down, and even better with the extract part. Uh, Ian, he's got two questions, so we're going to combine both of them.
That's fine.
He was wanting to know, who do you sell your honey to, and
Is
is
your sidekick brother cameraman with you here tonight?
I think he may join in a little bit.
okay.
I don't know for sure. I'm sure he probably will. If he feels like it or whatever. But he'll probably come in most likely. I'm not going to say 100%, but I'm 90% sure he'll probably come in.
Okay, it's up to him. But if he wants to say hello, he's welcome.
But to the second question, who do I sell my honey to? I
Mm-hmm.
sell a lot of local people. I don't really have a market. Sometimes I've sold it, on marketplace before, and going around places and delivering it to people. I've had really good success doing that and being able to sell it that way on marketplace. Locally, not really, outside of our area because I don't really want to travel far, or, ship it or anything. Of course I could whenever I get into that market. But right now I just really sell it local to people who are local around here, locals, and who like the honey, and I'll sell it to them. And I have really good success doing that, and people really do enjoy it. And I don't sell all of it. Sometimes I'll keep a lot of it and put it on toast or something, and for
Mm-hmm.
lunch or something. Sometimes I'll do that a lot, or biscuits or rolls or whatever you want to put it, or bread. And
Ooh, we had it on some cornbread earlier.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, there's another one.
Pastor Larry and Miss Jan.
Good to see you. How old were you when you started working bees? Well, we started around 2017, 2016, so I was probably about 7 years old or 8 years old, somewhere around there. I've probably kept bees about 7 years. Um, 14 right now. I'm turning 15 coming up, so that's about half my life. I've kept bees, and I really enjoy keeping them. And I started, like I said, in 2017. At first, I thought I started in 2018, but I went back to some photos and stuff, and it was in 2017. So I think I started around 2017 in the spring. And when we got into bees, it was really our mom's idea to be able to keep the bees, just to do something else. Some of those different kind of things, get interested in it.
She
And
wants to keep them boys busy.
we just kind of got into, got two hives and set them out, and around our house, probably about, I'd say about 100 feet away. I think it's probably actually 150 feet away, somewhere around there. And in our woods, a lot of beekeepers, whenever you watch my videos, I have it in my woods, and you see all these trees everywhere. And I, kind of live on a 40-acre farm, or 40-acre piece of land. And we like to do a lot of different things. But anyway, I'm getting off the point. But started, like I said, 2017, and it was really our mom's idea. But then, like a year or two later, we got two hives to start with from a guy in Florida. And I can't remember the name of the guy who really gave it to us. But he just kind of showed us some things about bees, and sold us two hives. I don't have those two hives right now because 7 years ago something happened to them. I think one of them had absconded. I think another one got really too small and got kind of weak, and didn't really survive. I think that was probably about 4 years ago. But then 2 years about later, we got a couple more hives, and I started out. Then I had five. And then years went on. I, had success. I had failures. I've had mistakes I've made. I learned from those mistakes, and I've really enjoyed it. But I really took over all the bee stuff. And I'm really the one who does it now. Vincent will he goes out there once in a while, and sometimes he doesn't go out there as often as he used to, because sometimes when he gets stung, it can has a bad effect, I would say. And
Oh.
I guess we could get into that topic later, and stuff like that. And but he'll come out there a lot of times, and Vincent will help me out a lot of times behind scenes doing things. And especially on our live streams when we do lives or whatever, he'll help me in the back room, try to keep up with comments, because I can't keep up with comments. I'm looking up here at this camera and my laptop's on the side, so I'm not really able to always be able to look at the laptops. So Vincent will help me out, there. So that's a real help whenever I'm doing stuff like that, whether it be a live stream or maybe a video or whatever. And we just kind of went from there, and now here we are. Just I made a YouTube channel. I came up with a name, and it kind of when I started beekeeping, kind of goes back to the YouTube channel about a couple years later. I think the channel was probably made 2018, and it really wasn't
Mhm.
anything. It had, I think it only had like maybe a subscriber or zero. And I took it and I made up a name, and I tried to think of it. And we live in the woods, and we have honeybees. So I decided, to do it Wildwoods Honeybee Farms. And actually, I think at first I named it Wildwoods Honeybee Shorts or something like that. Anyway, and I came up with that name. I changed it to Wildwoods Honeybee Farms and started doing videos. And I would suggest not to go back to look at the first videos, because they weren't professional or anything. But then I kind of get more into doing YouTube, and I had these videos that I just I think I actually recorded them like on an iPad or something, or on a phone or something. And, they weren't really popular or anything. Just our family watched it, and locals, that kind of thing. But then, Bob, I think Bob was in here in a little bit, found me on YouTube and shouted me out. And I got, a couple of people followed, and, and that's really whenever the YouTube started to pick up and stuff. And I did better videos. And whenever I got, more followers or whatever, I just kind of try to do better content. And, then I just kind of got to where I am right now. So, that's really the story on how I really started beekeeping. And some of the stuff, I remember, I've made mistakes. I know a lot of beekeepers do on my first, second, third, and going into all my other years of beekeeping. And I even made mistakes, 2023. I'm hoping 2024 will be a better year, as we mentioned earlier. But that's really just the whole scheme of things. And that's kind of how we started beekeeping and the channel. That's how the channel really got started.
But your channel has grown like crazy the last couple of years, for real.
Yeah, you done good.
Thank you. It was probably about a year and a couple months ago whenever Bob had me on one of his live streams.
Mhm.
And I think I started out with about 20 subscribers. I didn't have many. And it doesn't really matter to me, but really about subscribers or whatever. Of course it's cool or whatever. I just really appreciate people coming in and supporting the channel, and being able to learn from other beekeepers, and try to give information from my channel as well. Some kind of information anyway. And I just kind of growed to the point where I am right now. Being able to do videos. I don't do videos like every day, or I used to do them all the time. But I kind of settled down and started. I just sometimes will do it once a week. And when especially now when we're in this time where it's nothing to do, I don't really do many videos. I just do live streams, talk about what's going on local, or what's gonna be happening. But it's grown for the past year or so, and it's good for it, to be having success or whatever. And I do appreciate people who support the channel and whatever. And and also appreciate people who watch the videos, because I try to watch as many beekeepers YouTube videos as possible. I like to watch a lot of beekeepers videos, but I have like 150 like subscriptions. I'm subscribed to a lot of beekeepers, and channels. It's really hard to keep up with a lot of this stuff. Whenever
Yeah.
Mhm.
upload videos. And so I appreciate people who take the time to watch my videos, because there's a lot of other beekeepers who have other content just like me, and I do appreciate it, from everybody and stuff.
Grayson Carl from 2B Brats.
Grayson,
Sam,
I've
Go
always stated stuff like that. You can always make a mistake. Sometimes mistakes do happen. Sometimes you can avoid it. Sometimes you can. There's a lot of times sometimes I can always look back and wish I didn't do something, but you can't go back and change it. So a lot of times whenever I think about things that I didn't do right, there's a lot of things in 2023 that I didn't do correctly either, like splits or whatever stuff like that. And I just what I look back to it and I say to myself that this probably wasn't correct, but at the time I just didn't really think about it. But then, when I go back to a new situation and I'm in a situation where I'm similar to that other situation that I made a mistake to, I can look back to that and say that maybe I should do something different and learn from that previous mistake that you did. And I've had a lot of scenarios like that. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm able to be somewhat successful, being successful and stuff like that, try to, be able to, do things good and try to keep the bees alive and stuff. But, like, Brad, I think, said, you can always learn from them. And I know a lot of beekeepers who put themselves down on it, trying to, blame it on them. And, I don't think that's good to do because, whenever you do that, beekeepers start to get discouraged and try to quit. I've had times where you know, I guess, been depressed, you might as well say, on situations or whatever. But then I go back to say, well, I'll learn from that mistake and I'll look back at it whenever I come up to a different situation and maybe, try to be a little bit more successful or whatever. But, that's just kind of how I view it. There's a lot of different ways beekeepers can view it and, see it as different ways and stuff. But yeah.
what's what's the just in case there's somebody new in beekeeping watching this evening or watching later on, what's some good simple advice you would give to a first year beekeeper?
Well, one of the biggest ones I would give to a new beginner beekeeper, because there's always beekeepers who are becoming a new beekeeper or who are thinking about becoming a beekeeper, and I think 100% you should get into bees and try it out. I know sometimes if you get into bees, it may not fit your schedule or whatever. I understand that, but whenever you're getting into bees, there's always gonna be mistakes and there's always gonna be things that don't go your way all the time. So a lot of times I see beekeepers and especially new ones who doesn't something doesn't go right, or maybe they had a little mistake that they did. Nobody's perfect, and they get discouraged and they quit. We're talking about that earlier, and one of the biggest things that I think I do want to encourage is to always stick with it. Whenever you stick with beekeeping and go for it in the long haul, you'll become more successful. You'll become, you know, I guess you'd say a better beekeeper in time. A lot of times whenever I was a new beekeeper, there's a lot of things I wish I did different, but I can't change that. So, just don't get discouraged and be able to have patience. And, and that kind of goes back to being successful, and really being successful. If you want to be successful, is really for the long haul, being able to have those hands-on experience with the bees. And that's how a lot of these beekeepers like Bob Binnie or Ian Stepler, I know Ian's down there, that's how they become the beekeepers they are, is because they've been keeping bees for a long time. So, that's just really basic, simple advice I'd give. Just stay with it, stick with it in the long haul. Even you'll have bad times, you'll have rough times, you'll have your success, you'll have your mistakes, you'll have a lot of those different things whenever you're a beekeeper. But if you can overcome that and be able to stick with the bees, you will become more successful, because success comes with being able to stick with your bees and be able to go with it in the long haul. And I think that's something that a lot of beekeepers hope will, I think, agree. And that's just kind of how I view it. That's just something simple, basic advice that I'd give to a new beekeeper who's in bees, or maybe they're going through a rough time with their bees.
Well, like Blaine is saying and Sarah here, you you're gonna have failure in beekeeping,
That's right.
but it's just learn from the mistakes. And I'll give an example on one of my biggest
That's right.
first year failures was we we had gotten our horizontal hives. We got some bees put in them. We were super excited. You know, we love our horizontals, and we was doing an inspection, and just just watching from different videos, we was picking up on setting the frames down on the ground, and which was dumb on my part because we had space in the horizontal hive. We just could have stuck frames in and not worried about nothing, but just kind of picking up, setting that frame down. Well, we didn't know our queen had walked off.
Oh,
And whenever we got done with inspections, come back down there about 30 minutes later and we seen a little bundle of bees. Well, we didn't know. We thought it was a little swarm that came in. Well, I had found that queen, and during the time of being mixed up, is it a swarm or did a queen walk off? I went with the idea of, okay, maybe a queen walked off, and we had found her, and I took her and stuck her in the entrance. Well, what I done is when I stuck her in the entrance, that was into a queen right hive.
We put her in the wrong.
And buddy, within just a second, they balled her up, and there wasn't no saving her kind of thing. But
it was over.
that was one of our first big mistakes in beekeeping in our first year.
that's right. I get you. And that stuff happens, and I think I've had some of those kind of cases before. And I don't look at it like this bad thing. Of course, it. I guess it could be, but But anyway, I don't really. I view it as something that I can learn from, as we were talking about all in this live stream. Is really learning from that, and then what I can do. I've come in those situations before, especially one time I had a queen. I was marking her, and she flew away or something like that, and then I couldn't find her in ball or kind of like that. And whenever you come up to that situation the first time, especially whenever you're doing things like that, that's a lot of times I come to those situations where that stuff kind of happens. And next time, whenever when you come across the same situation in the future from whenever you did that situation, then you can go back and say, well, I remember I did this wrong, or something happened. I can go back to the future and say, before I put this queen in the hive, or whatever situation it is, be able to go in there and do whatever I need to do and make sure that doesn't happen again. I just found that something good to be able to think back to. I do that all the time whenever I'm making sure I'm doing something correctly, and it happens all the time. Things like that. You come across it, and sometimes can different things, different scenarios, or whatever it may be. But I just that's what I've always been about. And a lot of beekeepers who watch my channel know too. I talk about that all the time on my live stream. And it's just something that that's personal to me, and that I like to think about, and something that my personal opinion on that subject.
Now, now that you're kind of getting a feel of things, is there an area you're wanting to advance into now? Say, start doing your own grafting, or
Uh,
specialize in single brood chamber management like Charlie, or do dim array or something like that.
I've always thought about different things, and I always get into being able to look into other things. And right now, I'm just like a hobbyist beekeeper, and that's kind of where I've been. Next year, I'm planning on trying to do more grafting. Last year, I've done grafting before, and I've had success in that, and I've also had some failures in that too, some mistakes. But a lot of the mistakes that went along with that was just whenever I put them in, I didn't really have anywhere to put those virgin queens, because what I did, I'm not going to try to do it too hard. I just I built up a factory new, filled it up with a lot of bees, and gave it about a day or something like that. and make sure it was queenless. And whenever you do that, you want to make sure it's queenless or whatever. You don't have a queen pheromone, because if you have a queen pheromone, then the bees aren't going to get in a situation where they need a queen. And most times, whenever they don't have a queen, they go in a mode where they need an emergency queen, because automatically something happened. And that's just because we did that to get up a starter. And you can do this with 5-frame nuke, or you can take a hive if you want, and take a frame out that has the queen, put her aside in a different nuke, and take her away. And you only need to do that for 48 hours. And after that, this is just a method that I like. And other beekeepers, this is one that's a popular one. And if you're getting into grafting or want to get into grafting, this is one that I think is a good one. But what you take the queen away, and you want it to be packed full of bees, and it works very good whenever you have a very packed full hive. And you can do this with a single hive or a 5-frame nuke. You can do it in different situations. But then after that, you'll set up the queenless starter, and you go back, leave that there for about a day, maybe 2 if you want to give them in that stage where they they know they're queenless and everything. Before you leave them, you do also want to make sure that you don't have a lot of the like eggs, because if you have eggs in there, they're probably gonna draw off the frames rather than being able to go off your grafts. And one of the best ways I found to do it, and you anybody who's watching this after, you can go watch Bob Binnie's video. He explains it like hands-on, be able to do it using a double screen board. And you do basically the same thing. You start up a starter queenless, and what you do is you take a double deep basically, and you'll take the queen and put her on top, and you'll shake all the bees down in the bottom box, and you keep some of the frames in there, of course, and you'll make sure there's no eggs in there. And then you'll leave, and you'll kind of do some different management with it. And the top box has the queen, and a lot of those bees and you can do it the other way around or whatever. And in the bottom will be your starter, and it'll be packed full of bees, and you can do whatever you want with it. And then you do your drafts, you put them in, you wait 48 hours. Their cups, I'm gonna try to do as quickly as I can. I don't want to take up too much time doing this, but you take it out 48 hours later, and you switch it out, put it on, and you take the double screen board out, and then you can take it to another hive, or you can keep it in that starter, whatever you want to do. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's a lot of other things that are available. This is one of those methods that a lot of commercial beekeepers use. And what you can do is you can then put it in your finisher. You can use that exact same hive you used to start it, or you can use a separate different one. Sometimes a separate different one will be a little bit more easier. And what you can do is, after those 48 hours are up, you can go back and take those crafts out, and you can put another set in there. And you keep going round and round. And that's really basically how commercial beekeepers do it. You'll put it in the finisher, you'll leave it in there for about, I would say, about 12 days. That'll come up to about 14, because queen will take about 16 days whenever you do that. So I like to go in there about day 10. Sometimes you got to be kind of precise on when you go in there and take them out, because if one of the cells hatch of your grafts, they'll kill all the other bees. But anyway, you'll put it in top deep. You'll have a double deep full pack of bees. You'll put a queen excluder in the middle, and then you'll be able to have the queen in the bottom, and you'll have your grafts up top. You take it out, and you do whatever you want after 10 days or whatever. But that's basically, I don't know if that was really basically, but that's kind of how you do it. And that's something I will get into probably doing. But for basics, I'm probably just going to go with a 5-frame. And before I get in, I'm talking about this, I don't think that's a good method if you're new at grafting. That's something that you get into after you've had a year of experience, and you have a good bee yard full of bees to do it. But next year, I'm thinking I'm just gonna go with a 5-frame starter / finisher, instead of going into all the whole whatnot of going into this other method, I was talking about earlier. It's really the same thing. You have a queenless starter slash finisher, put them in there, you leave them in there for the whole 12 days, and then you go back after 12 days later and take them out. And I don't really try to be too complicated on that, but it's just something basic, to do it. That's what I plan on trying to do. Now, this is just trying. I can't make promises because sometimes some things will slide into a different thing that I can't do it. So, but anyway, but that's basically.
It's good information to know, and we got a couple of comments stuck back for you here, and one of them from Pastor
Haven't kept
Larry.
Grayson, how many halves are you running currently? Well, right now I have about 4, and my others, I had another one. If people who watch the channel, I had one that I that probably got robbed out, and I just went in there and did a dead out examination, kind of basically a little thing. And what you do, you go out to your hive, and a lot of times beekeepers will wonder why your hive died, or some of those basic things. Like I wondered why they died, and so I took that opportunity. It's unfortunate that it did happen, and I wish it didn't happen because it was one of my new queens, and it was doing a decently good job. It was a kind of a small cluster, so probably very small. Had maybe it could have had beetle or mite problems. I have no idea. I can't say for sure, but I just checked them, and I saw that there was a lot of flakiness on the comb, and I think it was robbing. So right now I have 4 in my other hive. I had another hive that starved out recently. Maybe I'll do a video on it or whatnot. But I had a recent hive that got robbed out, and or not robbed out. Sorry, that I had a hive that starved, and sometimes it happens. But right now, currently, I have about 4 hives, and they're pretty decent, strong ones, and I'm hoping that they will survive through winter. I'll do what I need to do to get them through winter and get them out of winter successfully as I can, and focus on next year and be able to. I mean, it's coming up season, and be able to do what I need to do, whether it be splits or um, swarm management. Some of those other things whenever you get into spring, but basically, right now I do have 4 hives, and they're decently strong ones too.
Philip from RTX got a question for you there.
Grayson, are you hanging swarm traps this spring on 40 acres? I bet you could catch 10 swarms at least. And I plan on doing that this year. I wanted to do that last year, and we were talking about it, a little bit about doing that, but we never got around to doing it. So what I plan on doing is trying to make some kind of platform on a tree, whether it be, I'm probably drill it on, and I'll probably do a video later on. I can't really explain it, but just a little platform on a tree, kind of high up. And the reason why I'm doing this, of course, you could take a strap and strap it to the tree, but that's kind of too much of a work to do. So it'd be easier just to make a platform where you can take the swarm trap off, a box. And but yes, Philip, I do plan to do that. I'll probably put some swarm lure on. I've had some swarm lure that Bob sent me at one point. I think we won it on the giveaway or something. I forgot exactly what it was. I think it was on a giveaway that I won or something. And I got it, and I'm gonna use some of that swarm lure to try to attract them. That'll be a good way to attract them, and I think that'll be good. But I plan on doing that. I'm sure I definitely could catch a lot of swarms around here. Like Philip, said, we live on 40 acres property, and it's a good place to be able to catch swarms. And we plan on doing some swarm catching because those are freebies, and you can catch them, and be able to put them at your bee yard, and have your local genetics. I think having local genetics is one of the best things you can do, and I like to have a lot of local genetics. And yeah, I do plan on doing that though this year at some point.
Well, Grammy's got a word of encouragement for you here.
I've been listening in the background. I've been listening, and Grayson, you just impress me more and more every day. Thank you, Lisa. I really do appreciate the support. Lisa's, I think, in Ozark. She's near me around Ozark, so definitely thanks. Thank you a lot.
Yeah,
And
he's doing a fantastic job, y'all. Y'all can see this right here in this live.
Seriously.
to Lisa, you definitely gave a great job. Thanks, Brat. I really do appreciate it, and glad to see you on there. There's a lot of names I do recognize on this stream.
Mm-hmm.
I
Kind
see
of people came out to hear.
Sure did.
Ricky. I've talked to Ricky before on a live stream. Horizontal Bees, Galloway Lights, Frank, he's there, and
Mm-hmm.
DC, and Ed's near me. Son of One. I think he's in Dauphin, and he has similar temperatures. But it's really good to see a lot of beekeepers in here, and listening to this chat. I like to, like I said earlier, and I think I mentioned it before. I like to watch a lot of different live streams to learn different things. Be able to learn something from other beekeepers, and I think that's a good mindset to have whenever you think about trying to learn more things and keep learning. And that's what some beekeepers, fail to do. And that's one important thing, I think, to be able to listen to other beekeepers and take advice from other beekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
And wherever they may be in Canada and there's some things that I'm down here in Alabama. There's a lot of things that Ian does that I probably can't do because there's a lot of things that he does. Is, climate. But there's always something that you can always learn from anybody, whether it be, Ian up there in Canada. There's always something I can learn from him, or whether it be somebody in the northern United States. It's always something that you can learn from him and use in your own bee apiary. But one thing that I've always mentioned, and I mentioned a lot, you can always take something from another beekeeper, whether they be in a different climate venue, and change it around, put some different bolts and screws in, and change it up a little bit, and then it probably work for you. And I think that's a good way to think about it. And I think a lot of beekeepers may probably think that way, and then definitely I like to learn different things from beekeepers and all these different chats every in the week and stuff. And it's always good to learn from things like that.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Old Philip trying to stir the pot, wearing that Alabama hat.
Oh,
Tell him roll tide.
roll tide.
Yes, sir. Roll tide. Wait for
Definitely.
Hannah to get me because she's War Eagle over here, so we got a house divided.
I get you.
But
Definitely.
now, how about your little? Oh, mercy, where's I going with that? Your cutout.
My cutout.
Was
That's
you
right.
planning on going back?
That's right. I remember that. And I've been wanting to get that cutout, and it was a very good cutout. And we're getting ready to cut it out and be able to do some of those different things. Be able to take out the hive and be able to have local bees, as we were talking about. And we took two trips up there. The first trip, and this was in the summer, so it was around like 100 and actually 99 degrees, and it was a very hot day. I was cutting open the camper because the camper this guy had, it wasn't anything that he wanted to save, so I was able to cut open into it, cut some of the metal off the side, and I was able to get to the bees. But then whenever I got done, I was out there for about 2 hours doing that. And then, whenever I took a break, I was soaking wet, with sweat because it was 99 degrees in the BC. So, after that, we just kind of took a little break, got a little drink at the gas station, and went back, and I started to work more on it. And then, I just couldn't find the queen. I started to cut open some of the comb, just a little bit, not much. And one of the things that went wrong in that cutout was I didn't have a smoker. I forgot to bring a smoker. And the worst thing about not having a smoker, I don't sometimes, I don't know if beekeepers really recognize on my channel, but whenever I inspect a hive, I don't really take a smoker out to the yard. I know it probably is better to use a smoker, but a lot of my bees are nice, so I don't really have to worry about that. And even whenever they are kind of riled up, I will take a smoker. And about these bees, I was getting very, very I would say defensive bees, and they're just kind of riled up a lot. So we just left and kind of put the pieces back on and kind of went back the next day. And of course, the next day it was I think we went a little bit earlier, and I was out there for a little bit of the evening. It's probably about 12 p.m. actually to about, I'd say, 1 p.m. and I was working on them trying to get something to come out, and I took a break, and we actually just sit around, doing nothing because it was so hot. I think it was actually about 100, maybe 99, 98, somewhere around there. And you also got to factor in some of the sun stuff, so it was probably about 100. And it was in the middle of summer, and we waited till about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whenever it actually got really nice and cooler, and stuff like that. And that day we weren't I wasn't able to find the queen or anything, so I just decided I'd wait later on to be able to remove it. So I kind of stuck back the pieces on the camper and left it, and I haven't been able to get back up there and get it. But we've talked a little bit about it. My granddad took me out there. It was in the middle of summer actually last year, and we've been talking about trying to get back up there and doing it. But the next thing I think I'm planning on doing, and I don't know, I think they're probably still in the camper. I still have to check in and make sure we're still flying or whatever. I'm going to try to get a bee vac. A lot of people here being able to get a bee vac, those are a very good accustomed to be able to have an easier way to suck the bees out and be able to put them in this bucket. It's designed for the bees, of course. I plan on getting that and be able to do that, and be able to get into the part where I can get that bee vac and try to. It'll probably be easier. And the thing I thought about that bee vac was very, very. It seemed I can't really come up with the word. I'll think about it in a little bit. It was just very something easier to be able to get cutouts out. Especially, you could probably take that thing, to that camper even in the middle of summer and be able to get them out within 30 minutes because you just go there and suck the bees out. And even if you didn't find the queen, you could always buy a queen and put her in there if you wanted to, or try to find the queen and put her in a queen cage and stuff like that. But we're looking onto that. But we're kind of trying to go back up there and do that. Give me just a second. I gotta put a charger on my Mac real quick. It's on low battery. I don't want it to go out and me not be here.
Mhm.
There you go.
If you're looking to get you a bee vac, this is just us, and there's others in here that probably agree. But we highly suggest looking into the everything bee vac.
That's right. I actually looked at that one.
It's well worth the money. You're not dragging around generators and extension cords and all that. You can get a good mess of bees in there if you got a big, just say that one you've been working on. If it's a big colony,
That's right.
you can fill the bucket up.
That's right. That was a specific one I had my eye on. The everything bee vac. I know Frederick Dunn. A lot of beekeepers know Frederick Dunn. He did a video on that, and I watched that one. And whenever I was kind of thinking about getting one at one point, and kind of seeing what he said about it, and it looked a really cool idea, good design, comforting, and they make ones where where it's kind of like a backpack, kind of thing. And I know a lot of beekeepers have good success with it and good comments on it. So I think that's probably going to be one that we're going to head to. It's not too big. It's probably very light, rather than having this big box or whatever that weighs a lot. It's easy to transfer, and you can always put it on your back and be able to suck out the bees. I think it's a really good design in general. The people who designed it, and really good idea to it. And I think that's something that attracts a lot of beekeepers, and definitely attract me whenever I looked at it, because that was the first one that whenever I typed in bee vacuums for bees or whatever, and that popped up first, and I looked at it and it looked pretty good. So we'll see about that. I think that'd be good.
It's very lightweight, easy to use. You can hang that thing off a ladder if you need to. Get you some kind of hook or a bungee cord and tie that thing off on up there. Suggest a hook, but it from what we've seen, it's great for the toolbox in the beekeeping world.
Mhm.
And like we just use, for instance, we seen a swarm year before last coming out of the feed store.
Good.
So we went back, we talked to the landowner and said, hey, y'all mind if we get the bees? They was cool with it. Went home, got the vac, and Hannah stood out there and vacuumed them bees, and it took every bit of maybe 2 or 3 minutes. She had them all backed up. We've headed home.
Bill, Ricky, Steve, Joey, and Lee all have the everything be vacuum recommended.
Oh, just a
Well,
lot of
there you
beekeepers.
go, bro.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that many had one.
Phil.
They got some good customer service. If you ever have an issue,
Yes.
they They were-
Excellent customer service.
Oh, definitely.
now.
It's probably gonna be one I'm gonna look into whenever I try to get one.
Now, is that something you kind of wanting to do a little bit? Say, like, Randy the Dirt Rooster. We know he does a whole bunch of cutouts and stuff.
That's right.
Is that something that piques your interest? You may want to go in, or just, well, if it's a swarm, I'll come get it instead of doing all that construction work.
I thought about doing some stuff like that. And, I watched the Dirt Rooster. I've actually talked to him on kind of like this, on a live stream or whatever. And he talked a little bit about swarms and being able to do cutouts. And I think it's something that I will look into and be able to do. I think it's something I've always thought about doing, and I've always thought, well, that'd probably be a good something to do, and probably good videos to be able to do, kind of like Randy does. And I look on to doing that, in this year, try probably main goal is try to get a BVAC, get it in here, and then start trying go to different places and remove swarms, or I mean cutouts and stuff. Of course, there's a lot of construction work that sometimes you have to do with that, cut open walls, or some of those different things. But that's something that I've always thought about, and something that I probably will get into. I may probably won't be if I do a little bit this year, it probably won't be the biggest because I have other things to do, or with the bees and stuff. But I do see that's something that I am going to try to go for in the next couple of years. Definitely this coming up year and next year. So we're looking onto that. I think that's gonna be something good.
Ricky from Horizontal Bees here. He's got another question for you.
Grayson, what is your future goal in beekeeping? Well, I have a lot of different goals and things that I've always, thought about doing, and that I want to do, and having goals and plans. I think that's something good to have. You have to have a goal and a plan to be able to, that's when we're talking about, when we're talking about successful, being able to be successful, having plans and future goals. Really next year I do want to start, being able to do some cutouts and stuff like that. Maybe catch some swarms off trees and stuff like that. And next year, 100%, maybe do a little expansion, just a little bit. I don't want to overdo it. Probably get a couple nukes is probably what I'm going to do. That's going to be my go-to probably. And one of the biggest things I do want to do next year is try to get some honey, because last year, I've mentioned it before and I've mentioned all the time, we didn't have a good year, for spring. And, after that, I mentioned I was going to try to do a good fall, plan, of, trying to, get some honey in fall. But, I didn't have the time to do it. And also didn't really have the honey to do it. So, I just decided, let the bees have the honey, and I'll try to reassess and redo and get back maybe next spring, and maybe we'll have a better year. And that's really some of the goals. Try to do a little bit of queen rearing. I've always thought about getting into the queen rearing business, like Greg, up there in Nature's Image Farm. He does a lot of queen rearing stuff. Bob Binnie, a lot of different beekeepers who do, who are in the queen rearing business, and I always thought about doing that too. That may be something to I may do and try to learn a little bit. I'm not going to do that like all so fast. I'm going to do it slowly, of course, kind of transition to some of these different things slowly on a hobbyist scale and kind of get to those different things and be able to do it. And, that's just really my goals and some of the future plans I do have set, for this coming up 2024 season in the spring. I'm ready for it. I think a lot of other beekeepers are too.
Are we ready for spring?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Grammy's got a question for you.
Grayson, do Damari splits on your halves this year if they come out strong from? Here, let me read it again. Do Damari splits on all your halves this year if they come out strong from winter? You will double in size and have a good honey harvest, weather permitting. And a lot of beekeepers probably don't know the Damari method, and I've talked about the Damari method. I'm not going to go into that tonight or anything because it'd be too of a long of a thing. But the Damari method is a really good method, and a lot of beekeepers like to use it. It's a really good way to do it. I'll probably have a video, or I'll probably make a video here soon because whenever you bring that up, Lisa, you just gave me a new video idea. Maybe one day I'll do that. I'll talk about it on live streams or whatever, like having graphics up and being able to explain it. But it's a good way to do splits. It's a good way to control swarming. It's a very good swarm prevention, especially if your hives are very strong. And that's the method you want to use if your hives are very strong coming out of winter and you want to prevent swarming along with making splits. That's a good way to do it. Take your time. Don't rush in too much at one time. And, that's something that, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. And I think that's something that, you always want to, you don't want to rush into anything. A lot of times, I know, and I've heard a lot of beekeepers, who rush into one, to a lot of different things. And it's always good, get into something new in beekeeping, in the realm of beekeeping, be able to maybe start doing some queen rearing. But I think one of the most important things, if you're going to be doing something like that, to start out slow. Don't start out, in a rush to do it and try to be in a rush. And, start out slow and, you'll get better over time. Time takes time to be able to be, the success that you want to be and, be successful, like, other beekeepers like, like Bob Binnie and stuff like that. We were talking about earlier, time and, being in it for the long haul, getting into, stuff like that and is good. And, always not to rush. It's something always important.
Steve Amos, kind of going to your point of doing them queens.
If you can sell a couple of nukes or queens, you could pay for a BVAC. Definitely, I've always thought about different stuff, like nukes. You can always sell nukes and, you get into that, realm also that beekeepers like to do. And, that's something else I always want to do. Kind of try to get into a profit, business, sell some honey maybe, or sell some queens. And, I'm planning on raising some queens. I've thought about selling mated ones. I'm probably going to start out, slow and sell virgins. I know there's probably a market for virgin queens, like stuff like that. I may start out with that, see how that does, and kind of progress onto mated queens and whatever. And, do some of those, kind of, explore some different things, slowly and stuff like that. But definitely, it's still something that you want to think about.
You was talking about trying to dabble around with grafting again this year, maybe. Have you kind of set a little goal on how many queens you'd like to try to graft this year?
I've thought about it a little bit. I want to, get a good little starter up or, starter / finisher and make some queens. And I'm not expecting too much. I think, especially, this is probably going to be my second year being able to have a little bit of grafting experience. Last year I did some grafting and I have had a lot of good success doing grafting. I think it had like 10 to 12 of, grafts, and I think I got about 7 out of them. So that's going to be probably about a 55% take. And, I'll take that every day, but the more you get into it, the more you graft and more I get into it and more I graft, I'll probably be a little bit more consistent and more better at it. There's sometimes, where I'll come out with 7 and there's sometimes where I'll come out with 0. And, sometimes, it takes time to be able to be consistent. But, as long as, keep on doing it and keep on working with it, you will come to a point where you will be able to be successful at it and be able to be a little bit more consistent. And that's where I planned ahead and be able to do something like that and be a little bit more consistent over time. And that's
Mhm.
I'm not expecting too much, like I said, but I just want to maybe do 20 to 50. Maybe no, I'm not going to do 50, maybe 20 at the most. Probably around 20
Mhm.
sell maybe, or I'll probably use those for nukes or something else. Most likely I'll probably sell them though to whoever wants to buy them or whatever. But that's just kind of what I'm planning. And now this is just planning, and not everything goes the correct way. Sometimes I'll make a plan and then the next day I go out to bee yard and it totally changes because something different happened in the bee yard. But we'll
Mhm.
see how that all goes.
We we stopped at a little old yard sale not long ago, and Phil, appreciate your comment on those measurements. But we're planning on taking those little foam ice chests is all they were, but they were selling the things for $1 a piece, and I couldn't not get them. And I loaded the truck up with them. So you couldn't see out the back window. Just threw back in there. But
Yeah.
I'm wanting to take those and us turn them into little mini. Well, I guess I wouldn't say a mini. They're pretty good size, but turn them into mating nukes.
I get you. Pretty good idea. Uh,
Have
maybe
you had any experience in any of those little mating nukes or?
there was at one point where I was going to get a couple of mini nukes, and you can always make mini nukes out of whatever you want to do. You can use 5 frame nukes to do a small mini
Mhm.
nuke, and sometimes you can do whatever you want. Whatever people want to do, and I don't really have any hands-on experience or anything like that. At some point, I do want to get into the realm of that. But what I can say, and what because before I was going to get some mini nukes from a company. I think it was Barnyard Bees or something like that. It was local, and I think it's in Georgia. And I was going to get one of these mini nukes. I was going to try it out and see how it worked out, and that was the plan. But then they are sold out, so I didn't get any of those mini. I was getting one mini nuke. And for people who don't know what a mini nuke is, just a little mini nuke. Is a very small one, and you just take from the bottom. You can have a little little thing that slides out and opens up. And all you do really is you take about 3 to maybe 2 cups of bees. Probably a lot of times you'll shake a lot of nurse bees into a box if you're making a lot of them. If you're just doing a
Mhm.
small batch, you can just take a frame and make sure you don't have a queen, of course, and just put them in that little mini nuke. About 3 cups, and make sure you have some comb in there. Put your cell in there whenever you're done, whenever you have it out, and it'll hatch out. The bees will accept it. Then you'll get to the part where you gotta wait 2 weeks about, and then you'll get it back mated, and that's something that how it goes. And I think that's something that I do look into getting into, but time will tell, and we'll see how that all goes out.
Now, would you recommend us just drilling a hole for an entrance or drilling a hole and getting a little dial and put on there so we can kind of control things a little bit?
Either one will work very good. You can always screw in a hole for an entrance. Some mini nukes may not have a entrance, but some mini nukes probably have an entrance. I think the mini nuke I was looking at, it had an entrance where you could open it and close it. Something a very good uh, an idea to it, where you can close it, so then the bees will stay in there. So that's something else I forgot to say. Whenever you do make up your mating nuke, I think you do want to close it up for about a day or two when you put it in there. Then you can open it up, so then whenever she hatches, she can go on her mating flight and come back.
Mhm.
Takes about 2 weeks, but either way, it'll work. And some of them come with that, some of them don't come with that, and definitely either one I think will work. Um, just really, just whatever, really anything works.
It'd be really neat if we could get to kind of like where old Brad, Canada Brad, that bee man at Faith up there. I don't know if you watched or paid too much attention, but he done real good on all the nukes that he had set out and
Sure.
done splits off and stuff. And that's kind of where we was trying to go with it, is get some started out small,
Definitely.
Lord willing, them queens that come back mated, and start, producing a good, healthy colony. Then eventually we can graduate them up to, 5 frames, then eventually 10 frames, and so on.
Definitely. That's definitely a very good idea, and I think that sounds a very good plan and a very good goal going forward.
We're gonna make a shot at it.
Definitely.
If winter will stay winter when it's supposed to, and it don't, come in like it did last year and put us all in a bind, like Lee and Joseph, pretty much all of us down here.
That's right. Everybody down south really. I really don't know if really North had a problem with it. I'm sure they may have. I'm sure it probably got cold up there. But I know most of the South had a bad problem at it because we have those fluctuating temperatures. And last year we just got caught up in the wrong time for it in March. And I remember. Go ahead.
Tom from Mac Rick,
Definitely.
he was saying that he had a pretty good year, but he's up in the North Country. So it's kind of like some of the folks in the northern parts, they had them a really good year. Then for a lot of us down here, the southern states and along the coast, it was just not a good year at all.
That's right. That's right. A lot of times,
I had no idea. I thought we'd been on like an hour.
Anna's saying, you realize we've been talking almost 2 hours? She ain't even
I
realized.
thought we'd only been on like an hour. I had no idea we'd already gone the whole 2 hours.
Sometimes, I get in whenever I talk on my live stream or whatever, or whoever's live stream it is, sometimes I'm talking and stuff, and then right when I look, I'm like, oh, wow, it's already gone about an hour. So,
Seriously.
Definitely.
I had no idea we'd already been going 2 hours.
Yeah,
it's been
good, though.
It is. Very good chat and very good people. And I see, like I said earlier, I do see a lot of familiar people like Michael and Russell, Steve, Sarah, and I can't name everybody, but it's good to see everybody in here. Supporting y'all's chat every Sunday night and stuff, and I really do appreciate the opportunity. It's been good so far, and I really do appreciate it, and appreciate everybody else who checks in and checks in and listens and stuff.
I'm sorry, Grayson. I was trying to read the comment. That was a new name.
Yeah. You see Debbie Parker's comment?
I see. That's actually my grandmama.
Really?
She's probably checking in.
Well, she sees what you're doing firsthand then.
Yeah.
And very much proud of you.
Definitely.
And
I was trying to type out a comment to her, but we'll just tell her, we're glad you came tonight.
Definitely. I appreciate the opportunity. Good to, talk and be able to do some of this stuff and be able to learn from each other. On my channel, what my channel's been about for probably the past year. It's not just about teaching. It's really about trying to learn from our beekeepers and take information from our beekeepers and be able to beekeepers helping beekeepers, basically. And that's what I think the phrase in this beekeeping community has been for everybody, whether it be a new beginner or a beekeeper that's been keeping bees for 20 years, helping out each other and be able to have that communication and that that type of be able to help each other out and be able to help each other in different situations, whether it be on here or emails or be able to come on live stream and talk about things and all that different things. So I think it's really been a really good experience in this bee community, and I hope it's going to be a good year for everybody coming up in 2024. Whoever whoever's watching, I hope it's going to be a good year. I hope so, and moving forward, we hope we'll have a good year this year. Everybody else has a good year to be able to do whatever their goals are and whatever else they have planned for this season.
That's it.
Well, that's why we kind of go back to you saying about the community part,
Yeah.
and that's why we push the fellowship part so much on our end. And you can go in and look at the definition on it, but there's several different portions in the definition, but one of it, it's just saying is we're sharing the same interest
Yeah.
and the same goal. And being in this community that we're all in, we can all give each other little bits and pieces of advice. And, you know, absolutely location is going to be a big factor in things. But for the most part, you can take what you've learned from Bob Binnie and Ian and guys like that. And granted, you know, Ian, he's way up there snowed in, but you can take just a little bit of piece of advice that he's got
and adapt it for your environment.
That's
You
it.
can still run with it.
Create your own style that works for you
Mm-hmm.
and excel in that. And it's all about just everybody coming together
That's right.
and working together and just giving these little bits of information of, okay, look, hey, I was there a year ago. Let me
tell you what worked for me.
that's it.
That's right.
Or what didn't work for me in our case.
Yeah.
That's more of what we had to share. Let me tell you what didn't work out.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. But that's definitely one of the best parts of fellowship and all this different stuff, and learning from our beekeepers, helping each other out, giving each other a hand at different things, be able to communicate. Because there's a lot of people who don't really want to ask for advice; they're scared to ask, for advice. I don't think anybody should be, nervous to ask for advice, because that's what this community is all about, and it's what it's all been about. So
Well, you don't know until you do it the first time.
that's right.
And that's whether you're being a construction worker or a truck driver or a beekeeper. Everybody had to start somewhere. They didn't just automatically get all this knowledge.
That's right.
Overnight, I'm an expert.
No, it was gradually brought into it. You educated yourself. You watched people on YouTube and learned, okay, let me try this in my yard. And
That's right.
well, it worked, or man, I had great success using this type method. And like I said, that's the great thing about everybody working together and coming together as one in the beekeeping world.
Definitely. I agree with that. That's definitely something.
Now, I guess we get kind of close to wrapping things up
That's
here
fine.
for too long, but do you see yourself as a future beekeeper and you would like to do it for a business, or just continue keeping bees and doing it as a hobby or sideliner kind of thing?
That's right. I thought about that stuff all the time, being able to seeing what, I want to do in the future, And, I don't want to go from, where I'm at to, a full-time beekeeper. But, I think I'm going to slowly progress and keep going, and maybe get up to the point where I can get up to maybe about 25 to 50 hives if at some point over time more progress and more time goes on, and get to that point, where we, I guess, kind of go into a sideliner, I guess you'd say, and, go from there, and after that, maybe keep on doing like a small business, be able to sell honey, maybe do some nukes, be able to do queens and make a little profit out of that, to be able to go back into what, all the things that, it costed to, do that, whether it be boxes, lids, and feed, sugar, or whatever it may be. So, that's where we're kind of looking to go on the whole bees and things. But for now, kind of keep on track where we're going, and that's kind of where we're headed. And that's my, future goal that I hope, that I can accomplish here soon. In the next few years, next and and even into the next 10 years and so on.
Now, we seen on some of your older videos that we kind of get into equipment a little bit and building equipment. Your granddaddy's is it your granddaddy's shop you work out of quite a bit?
That's right. That's my granddad's a barn, and it's been there for a long time. And sometimes I'll do my videos there. I think I've done about 2 videos there. I hope to do more in the future, especially once we get into more of the busiest time of the season. And maybe here
Mhm.
soon I'll do more videos. There's one where I did like a Vivor hive review or something like that. And there's one where I did about frames and stuff. So that's where we work. That's my granddad's barn, and he lets me go in there and do videos and be able to upload those videos, and I'll come back here whenever I'm done doing that video, getting a lot of shots, and edit it. Of course, editing takes a little bit, and then upload it and do thumbnails and then do descriptions that can take a little bit. But that's kind of what I do
Mhm.
sometimes, and build some things. I'll also like to, I've built, or we've built like nukes and stuff, and that's something that I may get into selling later on in the future. But now, when we get into the part where we make nukes, we're probably just going to use them for our own selves to be able to, use for our bees and, splits or, whatever we want to use them for.
Mhm.
That's awesome. You got you a good place to work out of and stay dry
No,
and
definitely.
be able to, well, just these times of the year right here, say if, if you had bought you some boxes, you got a good barn to go into, stay dry,
Mhm.
That's right.
build stuff, have a good time with your granddaddy in there, and
That's right.
y'all work together and do your thing. But
Makes sense.
it does. It it just goes full circle. If you can see right now that working with your granddaddy and doing those things, then later on that's something you can carry on
That's right.
in your life as you become a man, and that's it. As you become a daddy and carry on, that's things that you can pass down and say, you know what, hey, my granddaddy taught me this, and it made it so much easier doing it this way than the way I was doing it before.
Definitely.
But
Definitely.
so they help you out pretty good on some stuff.
Definitely.
Your grandma sure seems like she supports you.
Yes, he does.
Definitely.
Well, if y'all got any more questions, y'all
That's right.
put them in there. We got about 5 more minutes, and we're going.
There's been a whole bunch of people say their good nights.
Definitely.
Everybody get going.
Yeah. But Grayson, you have done outstanding this evening,
Yes. We really enjoyed it, Grayson. Like, we really, really have.
and the support from everybody in the chats.
And people
Thank y'all.
came all over the place to hear you tonight.
Definitely. I enjoyed it too. It was really good time to talk and be able to see everybody in the comment section below and be able to see everybody who supports what I'm doing here, and y'all's fellowship chat and all the different things. And I really do appreciate the opportunity to come on here and just talk, chat about bees and stuff. I think that's what we all like to do. I like to do that all the time. Just talk about bees, what's going on with everybody's things, and have a
Mm-hmm.
good time. And I've enjoyed it, and I had definitely had a very good time.
I've got one more question before we go.
That'd be fine.
You got one too?
I was going to ask if you were going on.
Oh, uh, you can ask your first.
I was just going to see if you were going to go do your live stream tomorrow or if you were waiting another week or so.
Well, I've been thinking about that a little bit. I may end up popping it up and doing it, but I think I'm probably gonna skip it tomorrow night and probably do it next Monday. I
Oh,
Okay.
haven't really been able to get on a consistent basis and stuff. I just kind of sometimes I'll have family plans and stuff and
mhm.
do, and I just say I'll just take off that day and do it next different day.
Yeah,
We all understand, buddy. We know how life can be at times.
absolutely.
Now my question is, this is just me being curious. Do you see or what at school or your friends will say, do they seem to show an interest in beekeeping? Is there younger kids wanting to get into it as well?
Oh, definitely. Well, whenever you talk about that, I actually had some I guess I'll say a little bit younger than me, probably about
Mhm.
6 years old, and I have the video up. It was, I think, I'm sure you guys probably saw it, and it was um they just came over and we kind of knew. I think our mom knew him or something like that, and just showed him the bees and kind of get him interested in the bees, and and I try to share with other younger people, younger than me, or maybe even
Mhm.
my age or whatever, kind of get into bees, and that's what I did on that video. I did a video, and I uploaded it, and it got some attraction, I guess, or people like to watch it. And
Mhm.
basically what I did, I just kind of showed them the hives and kind of get them used to the bees, because that's something that you have to be able to do if you want to become a beekeeper, is be able to get used to the bees and be able to, you know, adapt to them. And whenever you do that, you feel a little bit more comfortable around them. And then you get to the point where, like me, there's one point where I wasn't comfortable around them. Of course, everybody sometimes won't be comfortable. But then once you get a little bit more time and experience, you get a little bit more comfortable. And, it's just what I've done. That's what I've been over the time, a little bit more comfortable, handling the bees. And right now sometimes that's why I don't have a smoker out there. Sometimes, I'm just, comfortable, and stuff like that. But definitely, I think that's something important to do and empower other people, whether it be my age or younger, get into bees and have interest in it. And definitely something very good to pass on. And
Well, we believe this, and we can probably say 100% with the chat, everybody in it, that for your generation, you're a great mentor,
thank you.
Absolutely.
and
Oh,
you keep on doing just what you're doing. I wouldn't say change too much of how you don't change nothing about yourself,
No.
period.
oh,
But
yeah.
you just keep continuing the good work that you're doing, and I believe you're going to inspire a new generation of beekeepers by you continuously putting your videos and stuff out and showing
Yeah,
the younger generation that
definitely.
hey,
Definitely. My camera kind of went off. It's out of battery right now, but
you're right, buddy. We're gonna wrap it up.
it's fine.
But we appreciate you coming on. We have thoroughly enjoyed it.
We have,
Yeah.
Grayson.
I enjoyed
And
it too, and it was a very good chat. And I really do appreciate the opportunity again for the invitation to come on here, and I appreciate it. The fellowship and the support, that I have, and I do appreciate everybody who's joining and joining this live chat. Really do appreciate it. So thank y'all.
all right, buddy. Well, we'll catch you on one of your lives, or you are more than welcome to chime in anytime on ours.
Absolutely.
And
Definitely.
thank y'all, everybody, the members. We appreciate y'all, everybody doing the stickers and the other whatever they are. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah. God bless y'all. We appreciate you. And Lord willing, we'll see y'all on the next one.
y'all have a good
Yeah.
week.
Y'all take care.
Take
Night,
care.
Grayson.
See ya.